I used to make fun of people that believed in things like this, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. I want to tell you guys a little bit about why I got into it and what spurred my interest in it. So I took a flight from Lisbon, Portugal to the JFK airport in New York. A man in the row behind me had a stroke as we were flying over the Atlantic. This plane was one of the ones that had the little television screens on the back of every seat. And obviously we needed to make an emergency landing. We were all super worried for him because being halfway over the Atlantic, you have to go the rest of the way to New York. To show you where the JFK airport is, it's on like the bottom part of New York, and the Lisbon airport is on the bottom part of Portugal. Logically, you would think the fastest and quickest route would be to fly from the bottom of Portugal straight to New York. Everybody on my flight was really upset because the emergency landing landed in Canada at the St. John's airport. As we were all watching it on the back of our seats, we watched a plane. We were right about here. So we watched the plane go like this and then take a sharp turn all the way up to here. And everybody was like losing their stuff because we're like, this guy needs help. Why are we flying even further? So I started researching how this.
Okay, here's the actual flight path from Lisbon to New York. And you see it actually gets quite close to St. John's at one point. So making a diversion to St. John's wasn't going to be much of a difficulty. So there wasn't much of a giant turn. Most flight paths follow what is called a Great Circle, which is basically a circular path that goes around the Earth because the Earth is round. Another demonstration of flights that got caught up in a Great Circle and had to make a last minute sidetrack was during September 11th, 2001, when all the flight space in the United States was closed. And they had to be diverted to Gander, Newfoundland, which is in the middle of the province. Dozens of planes were sent there with thousands of passengers, and the people from the Gander hosted these people for a few days, opening up like churches and like gyms and homes and things like that. There's actually a play based off of it. I can't. Just one second. The name of the play is "Come From Away."
I'll give you a couple of my favorite points that really like drove it home for me, but feel free to do your own research. Pilot training manuals, all train manuals, they all say to assume that the Earth is flat and not.
Okay. The reason why they don't take into the curvature of the Earth flying is because the area underneath the plane would be relatively flat because the curvature of the Earth is so large that you wouldn't notice that much of the curve. Plus, when you're traveling, like you'd be gravitationally bound to the Earth, so you'd be moving with the Earth around the sun. So you don't have to take those vectors into account. Or so since you'd also have the momentum of the movement of the Earth around its axis, so you wouldn't have to take that into account because it's already your plane, even if it's sitting on the tarmac or in air, it also has that speed, so you don't have to take that into account. That's why you don't have to take those factors into account while you're traveling. It's that kind of simple. Okay. Next claim.
Not moving. This is one of my favorites. So Werner von Braun, I don't know if I'm saying that right. He's the founder of NASA. All his tombstone says is Psalms 19:1. Heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. So for there to be a firmament, there needs to be a flat plane of existence. You really start looking into NASA. They came out in the mid 1950s. Everybody that was involved with NASA when it started was a Satanist. Satanist's only job on this planet is to get you to believe that there is no God. And the globe model does exactly that because it takes the credit away from a creator. There's a whole bunch of unclassified documents. We have Operation Fishbowl. Remember what a fishbowl looks like, and look at what they were trying to do. They literally were trying to break through the firmament. Operation High Jump, Operation Paperclip, the fact that Buzz Aldrin was approached by somebody asking him to put his hand on a Bible and swear that he landed on the moon, and he responded by literally punching this man in the face. Every single astronaut is a Freemason. Pythagoras, Copernicus, literally anybody who had any influence on the globe Earth model was a Satanist. They were all practicing Freemasons.
Von Braun during the war was actually working for the guy with the mustache in Germany. Hopefully everybody gets that. You can't really use that name on YouTube or you get in trouble. But But after the war, he was taken to the U.S. under Operation Paperclip, which took about 1,600 scientists and engineers and technicians to the United States from Germany. These people were scattered to different jobs. Von Braun worked in the for the Army building intermediate range missiles, because that's what he did during the war. He helped design the V-2 rocket, and I think he also worked on the V-1. But in 1958, he actually helped launch Explorer 1, which was the first U.S. satellite into space. And 2 years later, in 1960, 2 years after NASA was formed, he was assigned to NASA and as director of the Marshall Center in Alabama. And that's where he worked, helping build the Saturn V rockets to get the U.S. into space and onto the moon. He had nothing to do with the founding of NASA. About Satanists in founding NASA, there was one guy, Jack Parsons, who went into the occult. He went into study under a guy named Arthur Crowley, who was one of the most notorious people in the occult at the time. But he helped found JPL in the 1940s, and in 1952 he died making explosives for the movie industry. So he had nothing to do with the founding of NASA either. This is just the argument to make NASA look to be bad. We'll explain after the next clip. Bye. Okay, now about Satanists. She goes Pythagoras, Copernicus, and Masons. Okay, Pythagoras was an ancient Greek. They had the god Hades, which is probably similar to Satan, or god of the underworld. But you don't think he was really a Satanist. Copernicus was actually an employee of the church. He was a canon, which is basically a lawyer or a researcher or whatever. That's basically what his job was in the church. And he did observations to improve the calendar to the Gregorian calendar, which led him to the discovery that the planets went around the sun and not the Earth. But Masons as Satanists, and the significance that the Apollo astronauts were Satanists. A lot of people are Masons. Masons is just a fraternal order. It's mostly to do fundraising and charity work. If you're in North America, they have the Shriners hospitals, and to become the Shriner for a long time, you'd actually have to be a Mason first. And the Shriners run a lot of charity hospitals throughout North America for kids. They're also known for riding around in little golf carts. About the Buzz Aldrin incident, what Sibrel did, he lied to Buzz Aldrin to get him to the hotel to do the interview, and then he wouldn't get out of Aldrin's face, trying to get him to swear on the Bible, and that's what led to the Sibrel getting hit. It was a fairly well-known situation on the internet, and I'm actually going to leave this video with Buzz Aldrin and Sibrel's little interaction. I hope everybody has a good day, and anybody in Florida, I hope you got out of the impact zone of Milton, and I hope everybody has a good night and is safe. Goodbye.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything.
Tell him to get out of here.
This is a hotel.
We'll call
Right,
the police.
We pay.
Come on in here. We'll call the police.
Solicit
You like
Why
that?
don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir. I don't have nothing to do with this. But
Okay.
you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid
Right now,
to rent out the penthouse to shoot up there.
You
So
can't solicit like this on this property.
keep shooting.
All right. Well, then I go through my measures.
Yeah.
You got to keep shooting, man. Okay, well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Just come with me, Buzz.
You really like attention, don't you?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I
Will you
misrepresented
get
myself.
away from me?
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.